Okay, there we go.
Okay, how's everybody doing this morning? Good. Y'all feeling okay? Give me a thumbs up if it's been a good morning so far. Yeah, kind of. Okay. Well, today we're going to be learning about some word problems, and I know y'all struggle with these because what do we usually do when we see a word problem? What's your first step you usually do?
Figure out the multiplication of the green.
What do you do, Junior?
I read the sign is telling me what I need to do.
Okay, you read the signs. What about you, Sloan?
I make sure to pull the numbers and then read the rest.
So you pull the numbers first, then you read it? Okay.
Yeah, you read it, then you solve it.
Read it, then you solve it. Okay, well, we're going to watch a video really quick about some keywords in word problems. Oh yeah, can you unfreeze that? Thank you.
It's word problem, keyword.
These are the keywords that tell you what to do. Listen to me and you'll add to. Some, plus, both, and all. Total, combine, all together, additional. These are the keywords that tell you what to do. Listen to me and you'll subtract to. Decrease, difference, nearer, taller, less than, more than, remain, farther. These are the keywords that tell you what to do. Listen to me and you'll multiply to. Farther, as much of, by, twice, times, multiply. These are the keywords that tell you what to do. Listen to me and you'll divide to. Cut it out of each, every, equal parts, share quotients, evenly.
So can I see some hands and tell me why you think the words in a word problem are important? Yeah, do you think you can solve the problem? So you can solve the problem, but what do they tell you? I don't know. Lily?
The answer.
I don't know if they tell you the answer. You gotta solve for the answer.
If it's a multiplication or division problem.
Multiplication or division. Okay, so some of those keywords that we see, we have to be able to decipher. What does decipher mean?
Decide.
Decipher, I heard that word before.
Solve?
Decipher means to be able to decode the word problem to figure out what it's asking you. So you have to decide which operation you use and what your actual steps are going to be, okay? So I'm going to show you guys a word problem, but it's going to be a little bit different than what you've seen before. How do I get the document camera?
I haven't sent it up.
Y'all are being so excited this morning. Okay. So my sheet looks like your guys' sheet, but it's a little bit different. It doesn't have the word problem on there yet. But I want you on the side that says the seamstress has a total of blank yards of fabric. Are you guys turned to that side? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Good? Okay.
I tell them see.
So do you remember when we talked about perseverance last time? So we're going to do that this time again. We're going to keep practicing our perseverance and pushing through our challenges, okay? So can someone raise their hand and read the word problem for me? Gavin, you want to read it for me?
This one.
Get ready to warm up.
Choose one white bars of fabric. Use white yarn for each star to make. How many stars do they from the star?
Can I have a second reader to read that for me? Could you read? Good job, Gavin. Thank you.
yards for each scarf that she makes. Did you write this?
Can you say that again for me, Lily? I think you started at the very beginning. You don't have to write it, I'm just writing it on mine, but it's already on yours. The seamstress has a total
Of length yards of fabric.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to use length yards for each scarf that she makes. Does someone else read the other sentence?
Now you can finish it.
How many scarves can she make from her fabric?
So what are some key words in those sentences? What do you notice about the word problem? And who is it about? Junior?
A seamstress.
A seamstress? Okay. So what does the seamstress have?
Has a total of 8 yards.
So it has she has yards of fabric. And what is she planning to do with those yards?
To make something. She's making some scarves. Yeah, she's making something.
Okay, so what do we already know?
She's a seamstress.
Okay. What do we know about how to solve the problem?
Nothing.
We don't know. We don't have the numbers, right? Sloan, what do you think?
They use keywords.
Use the keywords. So what are some words you can pull out of there that you think are keywords? Yards. So, can you guys copy this down? We know that she has length, yards of fabric.
Where is that at?
Seamstress has a total of blank yards. Total. And then we also know that she has to break these yards of fabric into yards for each scarf, right? Yards for each scarf. Are you writing this down, Gabby?
Yeah. Do I need to write that whole sentence?
No, it's already on your page. So, what we know is that we have a total of blank yards of fabric, and we know that there needs to be blank yards for each scarf, but what do we need to find out based on this information?
Ethics, division, multiplication, adding, or subtraction.
That's the next step, but what do we need to find out? What information are we missing?
The numbers.
Read the last sentence for me on your page.
How many scarves can she make from her fabric?
How many scarves she can make from her fabric? Gabby, can you repeat that? What do we need to know?
How many scarves she can use with her fabric?
She can make with her fabric. Okay, so blank scarves is what we're trying to find out. We know the total yards of fabric, and we know we need a certain number of yards for each scarf, so we need to find out how many scarves. So in order to represent this, what is a representation? Representation. Reba, do you know what a representation is? Or how to represent something?
Oh, wait.
You want some help? Can you help, Junior? Gabby, turn around. Turn.
Where you try to get the equal amount something.
Okay.
If you represent
So to represent means you would draw a model out. So you would model out out what these words mean, okay? So we're working through how we're gonna process word problems, okay? Gabby?
How do you even get numbers?
We don't even need numbers, not right now. We're just figuring out what the problem says. Remember when Sloan said, pick out the numbers, then read the problem? It's actually the other way around. You need to read the problem and then use your numbers later, because all we're trying to do right now is understand what the words are telling us to do, right? So before we can put any numbers together, we have to know what it's asking us.
Miss Barrett is impossible because there's no numbers, so you don't know how many.
Not impossible. I don't like that word.
Sort of impossible. Yeah. Because
It's impossible to
you don't have
do
any
these
numbers,
questions.
so you can't do a problem. It's just a sentence with missing numbers.
Okay, so that's confusing you?
Yeah. I don't understand how you're supposed to get numbers from no numbers in a sentence.
But we're not even, I didn't say anything about numbers. I said let's represent what our words say. Okay, so let's follow along so we're not confused, okay? So when we draw representation, we have this much fabric. Based on the words, we're just drawing a representation, a model. So this is going to be my total yards of fabric. Yards of fabric. This is the total. And then a part of this, a part of our fabric is going to be one scarf. One scarf. And then we're going to have to find out how many yards for each scarf, blank yards. And then once you're drawing that, we're going to talk about it.
Exactly.
We're going to talk about it. So raise your hand if this isn't making sense to you. Can you raise your hand if this isn't making much sense? Is it because we don't have numbers?
Yes.
Is that why?
Yeah, because how is it going to help us with word problems if we're not doing word problems?
But you are. We're finding out the problem from the words. We're not doing the numbers yet. We're not solving yet. So Lexi, can you tell me what this means?
It means that one scarf only equals a few of the yards we have.
So out of all the fabric we have, we're trying to figure out how many yards or how many scarves we can make out of a certain number of yards, right? Does that make sense? Does someone else want to put it in their own words? Junior?
One scarf equals 1 yard.
There's no numbers.
Technically, 1 is a number.
I'm saying, but one scarf, yes. But this is just one piece of it. We have all this other fabric. So we really don't know how many scarves would go into all the fabric. Does that make sense? Okay, what doesn't make sense?
It makes sense, but all you need to do is just, as much as you can just do the numbers, just go that long. It's probably like 3 or 4 pieces.
But we don't know based on, we don't have any numbers. So right now, we're just drawing a representation. That we know that this is gonna be split for more than one scarf. So it would be more. But right now, we're just trying to figure out, it doesn't have to be 5. I'm just showing you that all this total is gonna have to be split into an X amount of yards. And then we're trying to figure out how many scarves we can make. So what operation would we be using?
Separate and compare.
Separate or compare?
Equal groups. I can't see the first
Equal groups?
Yeah.
Join equal.
Are we joining equal groups?
Join or combine.
Read the problem. The seamstress has a total number.
Split equal groups.
Split equal groups.
I'm guessing.
Think about it and then raise your hand.
I get it.
You know what operation we would be using, Gavin? If we had a total number and we're splitting into groups to know how many scarves we can make from an X number of fabric. Lexi?
We've been dividing.
So we would be dividing. Oakley, does that make sense to you?
I don't understand how we're getting numbers from
They're numberless word problems. It's to get you to think about the problem.
We're just trying to make a model.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I get it.
So
Now we're trying to solve word problems. I thought that's what we're doing. I thought you were going to give us a sheet with word problems on it, and then we're
this is a word problem. Okay, so now we know. What do we know? Which operation? What operation are we using?
Stick.
Operations. We have adding, subtracting, multiplication, or division. Can everyone agree that we're dividing?
Yes.
Is anyone confused as to why we're dividing?
No.
You can tell me. What are you confused about?
I'm not.
Okay. Sloan, you got this? Do you know why we're dividing? Can you tell me why we're dividing? You can't tell me?
Actually, I cannot tell you that.
I'm asking Sloan.
I can't.
Can someone explain to Sloan what she can?
I can.
Oakley, what do you think?
Since there's a certain amount of yards, and we have to split into equal groups to make a certain amount of scarves.
Does that make sense? You have a total number and you're splitting by X number of yards to get how many scarves you have out of the total fabric.
I just did this.
So you would have an even number of yards for each scarf. So we're splitting equal groups. Does that make sense? Okay. So on your paper, go ahead and circle that we're dividing. And then we're going to explain how we would solve this. How would we solve this? Just based on the words. Divide the squares. Divide the piece of the scarf how? You're on the right track. We're not using numbers yet. I'll give them to you in a second. But he's right. We're dividing something into equal parts. What are we dividing into equal parts?
Scarf.
Not the scarf.
No, the fabric.
The yards of what?
The fabric.
Fabric. So we're going to say divide the total number of yards of fabric by what?
I don't know.
Lexi, do you know?
35 or something.
We're not using numbers. What does the problem tell us? What are we dividing?
Oh, the fabric. Fabric by
Fabric into how many? Into are they uneven parts?
into even parts.
but if we're dividing, shouldn't it be split into what? Equal parts or groups.
Great.
So divide the total number of yards of fabric into equal groups or parts.
Why do we put 5?
If you write that, I'm sorry. So then what would we get by doing that?
A whole.
We're splitting.
Okay, then,
What answer would we get? What did we need to find out?
how many scarves?
How many scarves we can make? So by dividing the total number of yards of fabric into equal groups, what do we find out? Look at what we needed to know. Go back to that box and tell me what we needed to know, Junior.
Total yards of fabric.
Yeah, that's gonna be on your desk anyway. So tell me what we needed to find out, Junior, out of those top 2 boxes.
What do you need to find out, and what do you already?
What did we put there?
Scarves.
Scarves. So when you divide the total number of yards of fabric into equal groups, what are we finding out? Like, see,
What's the total number of scarves we can make?
what's the total number of scarves we can make? We don't have any numbers still. So you guys don't have to turn your side over. But write on your desk, write this on your desk with me. I know you don't have dry erase markers. So now we're going to write an equation. We still don't have numbers here. We still don't have numbers here, Junior. I need you to be facing me and pay attention. So what would our equation look like based on what our paper says we would do? We know there's a division sign somewhere. What are we doing, Oakley? Okay, we're writing an equation. So based on our first part that says solve, Lily, can you read what we said, how we were going to solve it? At the bottom.
Divide the total number of yards of fabric into equal groups.
Into equal groups. So what would our equation look like? Write it out on your table and then we're going to share out. Reading how we solve. What does our equation look like? You can represent using a model.
Can I write it?
Just write it out.
Save it.
Not state it. You have to write an equation.
But we don't know the numbers. How am I supposed to write the equation?
Use variables. Have we used variables before?
Not much, so I would model with them.
Okay.
Because variables use numbers.
So,
Same. This is so hard.
so T is going to be our total number of yards. T is total. Are we following along?
Yeah.
Divided by our equal parts.
So where do we put that at? Do we put that divided thing in the blank?
Right now you're writing on your table with your dry erase marker.
Or where what you're writing?
Yep, you're writing what I'm writing. Total number of yards divided by X number of yards equals S, which is our scarves, okay?
Okay, so this is what I do very much sense. These are the letters and words.
Ask
that
Miss
make
Perkins.
sense?
Ask Miss Perkins a question, Lexi.
Do you have a question?
I don't understand why, because the letters and words,
Right, so
it's confusing.
it's confusing you. So you know how
I
we,
get it now.
you know how we use
Seconds.
you know how we used our model? We drew it out. This is just an equation that tells what we're doing with our model. So can I see your model really quick? You see how Gabby's model has the same, it's basically the same thing that we just wrote. It says we have our total number of yards of fabric, and then we're dividing it by X yards, into groups of yards of fabric.
I get it. I get it. I said, oh, I get it.
Does that make sense, Lexi?
How? It makes sense because technically the letters are the numbers, and since we don't know the numbers, we just write letters before the numbers. But well, it makes sense.
You are always playing together. I think it makes more sense.
It just means
It just makes
an
sense.
amount.
Oh, yeah. You can put X times X.
So this is just an amount.
Does that make sense?
We're gonna do T plus.
Hey, class. Hey, class. We're focused. If you're talking, you can explain this to me. So, can you explain this to me, Gavin? What are we dividing here? T is what?
Total.
Total divided by
Yards.
an amount of yards, right? Gabby, can you explain it to me since you're going to be singing right there? Can you explain this to me?
Total divided by yards equals X.
Okay, y'all are getting confused by this X, aren't you?
I'm not.
Can you explain it to me, Sloan?
You could put a question mark there, right?
Okay.
Guys, y'all could put a question mark there. It doesn't matter what you put there. We don't know the yards, do we?
Yeah, I didn't
So
say
let's do, we don't know the yards. We don't know the yards. Question mark, an amount of yards that we do not know.
yes. This is
Equals what?
S.
Which is what?
I do.
Scars. Yes. Okay, we're about to move on and I'm gonna give you some numbers. Hey, I don't need a reminder. So, can we write, I'm gonna give you two numbers to go in those spots, okay? So the total number of yards is going to be 56. It's going to be 56 yards. 56 yards. What's up, Oakland?
I think I get it now. Technically, the letters are numbers, but since we don't know the numbers, we just put letters there to replace to replace where the numbers should be.
Okay, these are our numbers we're going to solve with. 56 yards of fabric. And she's planning to use 7 yards of each.
Good job. You figured this out.
How did you even get those numbers? She guessed them.
No. So Gabby, we didn't give y'all the numbers on purpose. Like we can put whatever numbers we wanted to in there.
Oh yeah.
What was the whole purpose of having no numbers?
So
Not
we
really
can
figure it out.
No, it wasn't making it harder.
Yeah,
So
Perseverance.
yeah, just go over that real quick before you end because I think that's something they need to know. We can finish this later.
Okay, so the reason that we did it without any numbers is because you guys don't read the problems before you just pull out the numbers, right? You need to read through the problem, figure out what it's asking you to do. On this one, we figured out that it's asking us to divide the total number of yards by an amount of yards to get a number of scars at the end. Okay? And we knew that based only on the words. You don't even need numbers to solve to know what operation you're using. Okay? Does that make sense? Can I get a thumbs up? Because can I get a thumbs up if that makes sense? It's medium? Well, if you weren't just writing all over your desk.
I would.
No, she's erasing it.
What is that? Okay then. So do you want to try
No,
to
she was-
explain why do we not use numbers?
No, why would that?
So,
Can someone who was listening tell me why we didn't use numbers?
yeah, she was.
No, not during this time. You weren't.
Oakley?
Because we was getting because we are not I did not talk. I forgot my glasses, so I did it earlier.
Okay, why did we not use numbers?
Because I don't know why I'm not liking that.
Okay, Sloan, you want to
Because I forgot. I forgot.
Sloan, you want to help?
Because we usually pull numbers out first, and we don't really need numbers to
That's
figure
what I
out
was
what
gonna say.
what we need to divide, multiply, subtract, or
Right, so can you repeat that, Lily? In your own words, why did we not use numbers?
Because you were trying. I'm sorry. I know.
I'm gonna have you guys keep repeating until you
I
can
know.
tell me.
Because, really, like you said, because we keep pulling out. We just keep pulling the numbers out, and we are not even like. I think this is what you said. You said we keep pulling the numbers out, and you keep like getting them wrong because you're not like reading the problem first.
Reading a problem to figure out what.
To figure out if you're doing times, divide, multiply, subtract, add. Because
So,
we just keep on
right.
rushing it, so we just pull out the numbers, do a random thing, and we get it wrong because nobody's focusing on what the equation says.
That's perfect. I love that
Like,
explanation.
if it's the